Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Mormon Stories Podcast. I'm your host, John DeLynn. It is March 27th, 2020, and we are still under the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. So we're practicing social distancing and all the healthy stuff to make sure that we don't do anything to get sick or to spread the virus. But we are super welcoming to all the people that are at home and who are in some way or another looking for some sort of information or education or even enlightenment. We're happy to be live streaming this Mormon Stories podcast episode. Today, we are very, very honored to have with us someone who many of you probably won't know her name. Her name is Clarissa Winter. And there's so many things that I think are important about today's episode. If any of you followed our Mormon Stories episode from a week or two ago, we interviewed one of my favorite guests of all time. Her name is Kalin Orgill, Oregon. And Kalin talked a lot about exploring her sexuality as a Mormon teenage girl and the sexual shame that came from that, along with her being a sexually active Mormon teenage girl. And this led to, of course, so many feelings of doubt and unworthiness, and eventually even suicidality, as she also struggled with her faith in a mixed faith marriage. It's an amazing episode. I strongly recommend you go check that out. But we're continuing with that theme today. So today we are interviewing Clarissa Winter, and I'm just going to give you kind of the preview, and then we will dive into Clarissa's story. But Clarissa is the descendant, a direct descendant of Brigham Young on her father's side, and her mother is a convert to the Mormon Church from Guatemala. She was raised in Orderville, Utah, as a devout Mormon, but like Kalin, discovered her sexuality, masturbation, and eventually became, let's just say, explored sexually during her teen years as a Mormon teenage girl in Orderville. This led to her, being labeled as a slut, as a whore, as unworthy. It led to her having bishop's interviews, worthiness interviews, which even got to the point of her being threatened twice with excommunication by two different Mormon bishops. Of course, there was conflict with her parents, as any good Mormon parents are going to be concerned about the health of their kid. We'll be talking about that and what that was like to have to navigate all that as a Mormon teenage girl who also encountered a lot of anxiety and depression, experienced a lot of anxiety and depression as a Mormon teenage girl. This all led to her sort of falling away from the Mormon Church and having, let's just say, late teen, early young adult years trying to find herself. And so the theme of today's episode really is rising strong after being judged as an unworthy Mormon teenage girl, with a lot of themes around sexuality, slut shaming, and that sort of thing. And there's probably a strong theme around sexual empowerment and owning and embracing your sexuality as well. So it's a really important set of topics. We've covered young male Mormon sexuality extensively on Mormon Stories, but not teenage female sexuality. So that's going to be a main theme for today. I'll also mention that Clarissa is a model, and she is a big fan of scary movies. She's kind of obsessed with scary movies, specifically 80s scary movies. And she does a lot of scary movie-themed boudoir shoots. And you can find her Instagram account at Call Me Mrs. Krueger. So she has a fascination, and she follows Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street. And if you end up Facebooking her or Instagramming her, you will see some fascinating art photography that is done in the style of sort of modeling, but also boudoir, but also scary movies, and it's interesting stuff. So anyway, that's what you're in store for today. And without any further ado, Clarissa Winter, welcome
Hi.
to Mormon Stories Podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so good to have you. Anything you want to correct about the introduction?
Nope, I think that's good.
Did I get it okay?
Yeah, you got it perfect.
Okay. So one of the things I like to do is to begin by having you state at the beginning what your intentions are. Whenever someone speaks authentically and candidly about their life experiences, Orthodox and believing Mormons get really scared and nervous. It's like, oh, you're trying to trash the church. You're trying to destroy the church. You're trying to take people's faith away. You're trying to trash what we love, take people out of the church, whatever it is. And I want to give you a chance just at the outset to state why you are doing this interview and to dispel any perceptions of why you're not doing this interview.
So my main hope and goal in all of this is to really help people, whether it's if you are Mormon, whether you're struggling with the faith or you are ex-Mormon. I feel like my story, I feel like a lot of people might be able to relate to my story. So I really hope I can help whoever is struggling, like find confidence and also become at peace and know that everything's going to be okay, and it is okay. And I hope if any parents who are Mormon that are struggling with a child that is questioning the church, or not even just questioning, but they might be falling away or struggling with anything, I hope that I can help those parents really be there and love their child and know that everything is going to be okay, and just have that faith and understanding. I just really want everything to be okay, and I hope people can get to that point.
And for me, I just want to add what I love about this is there's a segment of our population, you know, we celebrate the Mormon kids that go on the missions, that graduate from seminary, that get their young women's medallions or their Eagle Scouts, that do all the right things. And then there's this category of human or Mormon kid that like falls away or is viewed as bad or fallen or dangerous. And they kind of fall off, and they're kind of, if they come back to the church, they're celebrated. But if they don't come back to the church, they're kind of forgotten and always remembered as kind of bad kids.
Exactly, yes.
And what I love about your story is that it's a story of rising strong and finding your health and your healing and happiness after you leave the church. And that's not to say that we're trying to get people to leave the church, but certainly we want people to have hope that if it's their own kid or themselves, that they're, you know, coming back to Mormonism and being an Orthodox Mormon isn't the only path to health and healing. Yes. Some people need maybe to find health and healing outside of the church. Is that?
Yes, that is absolutely true. I also just want to say I'm absolutely not trying to get anyone to leave the church. I feel like the church is really good for a lot of people, and I think that they should stay in it. I hope that they can be a little bit open-minded if they're not usually to this. But yeah, just be maybe open-minded to the possibility that some people are meant to not be in the church. But I still think that the church does a lot of good. It helps a lot of people. My whole family is still active in the church. I love my family. They're good people. So yeah, I think I just want to share what it's, hopefully just give an understanding of what it's like leaving, and just the struggles, the trauma, the trials I went through, so that I just would love to prevent that happening to anyone, or at least maybe get like a, what's it called? A team, just support for people.
Yeah.
Maybe just support the person, just love them. Just understand that this is their life. Whether they leave the church or not, they might come back, they might stay. I think it's also okay to question the faith. I think that can even make your testimony a lot stronger in the church.
Well, let's dive in. So talk about your parents, talk about your dad coming from Brigham Young and your mom being a Guatemalan convert. And let's dive into your story.
Yeah, I love my parents so much. I miss them. My dad, so my grandma, which is my dad's mother, is a Young. So I come from Brigham Young, and I believe it's his son, Brigham Young Jr., that I come from, if I'm correct.
And you said you share that with Steve Young, right?
Yeah,
you guys come through the same
we found out
son
that,
of Brigham Young.
Yes, we found out, Steve Young. is my cousin from the same son. So he grew up in Utah, basically grew up like in Orderville, around that area. He was called on to serve a mission in Santa Monica, California, or in LA. I don't know where specifically. My mom was raised in Guatemala. She's Guatemalan. She didn't move to the United States until she was 21 or 22, where she has a very beautiful story. It gives me makes me very sad to think about. It makes me very emotional, how strong she was.
What any highlights?
Like her and her sister moved, you're moving to a whole new country, not knowing anybody. Maybe a few family members lived there, but it's a whole another language, which I think she already knew English pretty well. But she started out as I believe she was doing, was a maid for people in Beverly Hills, doing that type of work. And I think they treated her really bad, most of them. And so it's gotta be so tough. I think she wanted to go home.
She's an immigrant, right? I mean, she's an immigrant.
She was.
It's an important theme in the United States today.
And I just have so much compassion and understanding and love because of my mom and what she went through. So her brother, when she moved, I believe he got recently converted to the church, and he wanted to send the missionaries over to my mom and her sister who just moved to the United States. And so they came. One of the missionaries was my dad, and he was the one who baptized her. She ended up...
In California?
Yeah, in California, Santa Monica. I'm pretty sure it was Santa Monica. So she ended up joining the church. Her sister didn't. My dad, I think they just found an interest in each other. So after his mission, he went back home to Orderville, and then he moved to California and started to date her. Now that he was out of a mission, he could actually date her and explore that option. And they ended up getting married. They got sealed in the Santa Monica temple. And then they had me.
Okay. So you were born what year?
I was born in 91.
Okay, 91.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was your Mormon childhood and early teenage years like?
So I grew up in Orderville. I was born in Santa Monica, but raised in Orderville.
Describe Orderville.
So I hated it growing up because of how small the community is and how it's one of those towns, everyone's in your business. There's a lot of good things that come from it too. The community is very, very beautiful. Whenever
where's it located?
So it's on the east side of Zion. It's kind of by
southern Utah. By Kanab.
Yeah, around it's an hour and a half from St. George, an hour from Cedar. Yeah.
And wasn't it created as an experiment on the United Order and kind of early Joseph economic principles?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I remember learning about it as a kid. We go to we take class trips to go to that little museum that they have there. But they were just using, as a kid, it was really boring to pay attention to, especially with ADD. I can't, when they use hard words or words that don't sound entertaining, I would kind of zone out. So I don't know the whole history on Orderville. Please forgive me.
That's fine. But it was a conservative Mormon town, and you didn't love it.
I didn't love it, no. I liked, I have a lot of good memories of being there. I have a lot of sentimental type memories, and it's very beautiful, surrounded with mountains. I think the part I struggled with was just because it's less than 400 people that live there. I think the population is about 350 to 400.
What?
Yeah.
How many kids are in your high school?
So my graduating class had 27.
What?
And that included, I think, 6 different towns altogether. So it's the whole valley.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's teeny.
Yep. So we had Glendale, Mount Carmel, Alton, Cedar Mountain, Mount Carmel Junction. I think that we all just came. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. We had the biggest class, I think, when I graduated, or my senior year.
Okay. So small. What else did you not love about it?
It was really hard being raised Mormon in a small community. I think any teeny tiny town, whatever religion it is, it's going to become difficult. I didn't like how a lot of people they can be very closed-minded, come across very judgmental. I'm not trying to bash them. I'm just being like realistic in how it is. Like, so it was hard. Yeah, it was really just, I think that's the part I hated about it is like because I struggled with friends off and on growing up. So when I would lose a friend, you don't really have a lot of kids to choose from. You all were in one elementary school class. There wasn't, there was one first grade, one second grade, one third grade. There wasn't multiple like in the city. So you just all went together.
So like one first grade teacher?
Yep.
Really?
Yes.
That's teeny.
Yes, one teacher.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
So you all grew up together as a cohort.
Yeah. So, and then getting older, becoming a teenager, that's when it became very difficult because you go through those teenage experiences, the hormones, the struggles, and everybody knows about it. Everybody will find out about it. They'll take things and even make it a bigger deal, twist it. I know a lot of people went through that, like those experiences, so it can become very tough.
How many wards were in Orderville?
2.
There were 2 wards.
Mm-hmm. There is 2 wards.
There's 2 wards.
First ward and second ward.
Okay, and I have to ask this: like, as the daughter of an immigrant, and I don't know if you identify as a Latina, but people might identify you as a Latina. Yeah. Was that ever an issue? Did people notice that?
Yes.
And did you experience any?
Yep.
Positive or negative sort of?
Both. Like
even Lamanite, someone might have thought of you as a Lamanite, or you might have thought of yourself that way. So talk about that, if it's an issue.
Yeah, it was, I think there was a lot, because like a lot of people were very, loved my mom and like me. So it wasn't really, I didn't feel like it wasn't racism ever. That's not. You didn't feel. I didn't, but I felt different because I was the only Hispanic girl in my class. Everyone else was Caucasian. I think every now and then there was like a kid that would like moved into town for a year or 2 or just like a few semesters, but then they would leave. So I was definitely, during elementary, I was definitely like one of the only kids that was of a like mixed nationality. So I think when we were little, like kids definitely pointed it out. They weren't doing that to be rude. They would just point it out, like, that I'm darker. So it was, I don't know, I think it really hurt my self-confidence and self-esteem. And I don't think they were ever trying to, but it did. And I remember hating my skin color, and I remember wanting to be white. My siblings turned out lighter than me. And I remember being so jealous of that, even though they would remind me, like, you're beautiful. We wish we were tan or whatever. But I remember telling my mom, I wish I wasn't Guatemalan. I wish I was white. And I remember that hurting her. And I didn't.
What'd she say?
She told me that that hurts when you say that. But I didn't understand. Like, I was little, so I didn't understand what that meant to my mom. Yeah, it was. And then
let me ask you this. There's obviously the teachings in the Book of Mormon about dark skinned Lamanites and the curse and all that. Is that something that as a child or even a young teenage girl that came into your mind at all?
I never learned about that.
How?
Just didn't. I didn't.
I mean, I guess that's good, right?
I mean, yes and no. I would have liked to have learned about it. I didn't find out about the whole blacks not being able to hold the priesthood or be sealed to their families until I was 15 years old. And I found out from a girl, I was trying to be a good missionary, and she was struggling with things in her home. And I was trying to convert her. I was going to Kanab High at this time. And I was trying to tell her, about my church and how I think it would be really helpful for her and how it's helped me. And she's like, well, I've thought about it before, but I just can't get over the whole blacks not being approved of certain things. And I'm like, that's not true. Of course they were. She's like, no, like they couldn't do. I'm like, nuh-uh. Like I defended my church. I was like, no way, my church would never do that. Like no, my church is the most loving church. It's the only true church. They would never do that. And she just was so like very adamant about it. Like, and so she wasn't being mean. She was just like and I'm like getting defensive and trying to convince her otherwise. And then I went home and I asked my mom about it, and she's like, yeah, that's true. And I'm just like, what? And then she didn't tell me why. I didn't ask why, I don't think. But I remember just coming to peace with it of like, oh, there must be a good reason. I don't think it's like that. That's not what happened. I just kind of swept it under the rug and just was like, no, that didn't happen. I'm sure maybe there was just like a misunderstanding or something. Yeah. And then I didn't really learn about it until like a few years ago, like actually learn about it.
Right.
It was hard to swallow.
Right. So one of the things so in terms of your Mormon childhood and early teenage years, there's there's primary songs, there's going to church, sometimes there's family prayer and scripture study. To what extent, let's just say up until 13, did you have the typical Mormon upbringing, and what did the church mean to you as a child and preteen?
The church meant everything to me. It was what I was raised in. It's all I knew. I loved it. I believed in it so much. My whole life I loved it. I never had any doubts. I never had any concerns. I never questioned it. I loved the church. Through that and how much I believed in it and loved the church came a lot of fears of the celestial kingdom being my main goal of where I'm going to end up when I die. And I remember as a kid, there was a time where I just became very scared, of any little mistake I would make, and that God was watching me, and I would get like a mark, like a bad mark. Because I remember learning in a lesson in when I was a kid, and what's it called? Is it
Primary?
Primary.
Yeah.
Gosh. Sorry. How, like, I remember the teacher explaining it to us. This teacher ended up becoming one of my bishops in the future. He said, every time you do something bad, God puts like a mark on a list, and he just keeps putting them. But every time you repent for it, he erases it. And I think I ever learned about the good marks. I think it was only the bad marks that I never learned to embrace the good things or concentrate on the good things that I do, that God would be proud of. So I was terrified when I found out about the second coming, how it's going to happen. I freaked out. Especially someone having anxiety, like I developed anxiety at a very young age, depression at a very young age. So I would get paranoid. I'd panic, learning about the second coming and when it's going to happen. Am I going to survive? Like, I did this bad thing yesterday, or I lied to my mom yesterday. Am I going to survive? No, I'm not. Like, God's going to kill me when he comes, all those things. And I learned how to, I just naturally started judging other people and deciding where they would go. Like, I just see someone on the streets and how they were dressed, or one of my friend's mom, like, she wasn't Mormon and she was this way, in a negative way. And I'm like, oh, she's not going to go to the celestial kingdom. She's going to go to the telestial kingdom. Not the terrestrial, because she's not evil, but the telestial. And I had that mindset for a really long time. Do
you have a sense for how that may have affected you as a teen, and
yeah.
How does that affect you?
It was very hard. It's a lot of pressure. Because as I got older, I started having hormones. I did learn, like, at a young age, I became curious about my body, as any child does. And then as I got older, I figured out how to masturbate. I figured out all these things that you're not supposed to do. Like, you learn about it eventually in church. You're not supposed to touch yourself, masturbate.
So our last guest talked about this, how she was kind of doing that before she even learned what it was. How did it develop for you? I
can't really remember. I knew it was bad. I don't really know how I knew it was bad, but I knew it wasn't like it was something you need to keep secret, or you need to not tell anyone about, or no one should catch you doing this. Like, it was it wasn't a good thing. It was very private. And then I don't know. I remember, like, I think my mom caught me a few times, or like not caught me fully, but like knew what I was doing. And she would remind me, like, we're not supposed to do that. Like, that's a bad thing. But I just naturally like would do this a lot. Like it's something I desired. I don't know. Isn't that what?
Starting at what age do you think?
Really young.
Okay.
Maybe second or third grade.
So really early. Okay. But maybe normal. I
think it was normal. Like, I mean, I've talked to a lot of other people, like just random friends, and they started like around that age too, or younger, just naturally started exploring and feeling, their body. And yeah, so I knew eventually, like in young women's and in Sunday school, I learned that you're definitely not supposed to do that, and never lose your virginity, never that is very sacred. That is something like, premarital sex is basically like the next level to murder. Like it's very much frowned upon. And we had, we would randomly have many lessons about what we shouldn't do. We should never masturbate. We should never get too close to a guy, or, we should never be gay. We, all those things. And so it was really hard learning all these things and seeing how strong these other young women were and how they seemed to not be having, just from what I gathered, I don't know, but like they seemed very okay and they weren't struggling with these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. How am I so bad? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, something is really wrong with me. I don't know what happened, but so then...
By what age are you starting to feel like there's something wrong with you, or that you're bad?
Probably 5th grade, I think.
That's so early.
Yeah. And especially when I became a young woman, around 11 or 12. Yeah.
I mean, those are formative years, and all those behaviors, including masturbation, are more normal than not normal. We have this idea that women don't masturbate as much as men, and that may slightly be true, but I think it's way more common than we think. I think female sexuality is just viewed as it's ignored. It's non-existent within Mormonism.
Yeah.
But we obsess about male sexuality.
Yeah.
But you're basically just doing very normal things.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was normal.
But from 5th grade, you're being told you're bad and dirty and feeling unworthy.
Yeah, just feeling that. I also really, 5th grade was when I first had my thoughts of wanting to die, my first suicidal thoughts. I was going through a lot as a kid during that time. I had a very nasty teacher. She was not kind to me. I just felt very alone during this time. I didn't have a lot of friends. I did, but I still felt like they weren't my close friends. I struggled. I was going through a lot in 5th grade. Very depressed. I didn't understand the feeling that I was feeling. Very sad, very alone. I was like okay with dying. Like I kind of wanted to die. Like it became, and I didn't understand why I was feeling this way. And I eventually told my mom how I was feeling, and she listened to me and she tried to help me the best that she could. I'm surprised I even told my mom, because I didn't know if I was supposed to tell anyone. Like, do I tell anyone that I'm feeling like this? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then it would get better over the years. In 6th grade, I had this awesome teacher, complete opposite of my 5th grade teacher. He was so cool, Mr. Blodgett. He was just, he changed my life. I don't even understand if he knows what he did.
How did he do it?
Going from one teacher that was, a lot of people were putting me down in this process, but she was always concentrating on all the bad things I was doing and never congratulated me on anything. And I was always getting in trouble. I was always getting in trouble for anything, and I also had ADD growing up, which we didn't know this at the time, but I had a hard time paying attention. So a lot of teachers would get mad at me, but I couldn't help it. Like, it was hard. So with him, I remember like him being just super awesome the first day. And eventually, like, I messed up on an assignment or something, and he came to tell me, like, you messed up on this. And I remember saying, like, immediately, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, and getting ready for him to, like, get mad at me. And he was like, oh, it's okay. And he walked, I'm like, what? It's okay? What? It's just like his calmness and how he was nice. And he was understanding. He was very understanding. And I felt at peace in his class. And I felt like whenever he did get after kids, it was in a very calm way. Because I got in trouble here and there, but like he didn't make me feel bad about myself. You know, he just told me what I did wrong or, you know, and how I can fix it. And I was like, weird.
Okay.
This is weird.
So that sounds positive.
It was very positive, yeah.
So how did things develop? When did things start getting rough?
I was 13 or 14 when I had my first boyfriend. I kissed him a lot. That was like as far as it got, but I kept it a secret from my mom. And he wasn't Mormon, but I didn't care. I thought like he was, at this time, I had a lot of friends. I developed, I grew a lot of friends around this time, which was awesome. I had so many friends, and they were also like the kids that were like frowned upon. Like they were the bad kids, you know, they were, they swore, they said a lot of swear words.
Were they all Mormon still?
No, these kids were not Mormon. These kids I ended up becoming friends with in Canal.
Why were you friends with the non-Mormons?
I don't know. They accepted me. I don't know. I started dating this one boy. He was the sweetest, like, boyfriend to have, like, my first boyfriend. So sweet, so sweet. Respected me. So much respect. And he had a lot of friends. Well, he wasn't Mormon, and then he had a lot of friends that weren't Mormon, and I just ended up hanging out with them, and I liked how not judgmental they were. They were just cool, and I fit in, and I had friends, and they understood me. I also think also being Mormon, I did come across as judgmental, I'm sure, a lot of times. But I still liked them. Ended up getting transferred to Kanab Middle School. And it just became an issue with a lot of people that I was hanging out with these kids that wore skater shoes or like black clothing, like emo type style. And I didn't see anything wrong with it though. I thought it was cool. Like I thought I liked them. They were all nice, cool kids. But then over time I started getting influenced by people that advised me not to hang out with these kids. And I didn't understand why they were bad. Like they didn't do anything that I thought. Like they said swear words, which I was like uncomfortable with, but I didn't know that that's like bad.
Yeah.
You know, it has, like, you should not be around people that use swear words. It just makes them, like, the Holy Ghost just leaves. And so, but yeah, over time, just people started getting into my head, and I started trying to hang out with more of the Mormon kids. I ended up breaking up with that boyfriend, and I even told him he's not Mormon. That's why I'm breaking up with you. Like, because it became real to me. Like, I'm like, okay, so I do, because we would talk about, like, he wants to marry me one day, all those cute things. And we're 14, you know, we don't know anything. But I was like, oh my gosh, he can't take me to the temple. I'm not going to, like, God's going to be mad at me. Like, and I told him, like, it's because you're not Mormon. I realize how messed up that is now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're stuck in this sort of reality of you've got this belief system, and the belief system says stick around Mormons, stick around righteous people, swearing's bad. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a whole bunch of bad things. So stick around the good Mormon kids, follow the Mormon standards, and you're going to be safe. But what it sounds like what you found is a lot of fear and judgment and harshness in the lived Mormon experience, and you found a lot more acceptance and kindness and love in the non-Mormon experience. Mm-hmm. And so you must have felt really torn between those two worlds, which is really natural. Yeah,
because I loved my friends. I actually I loved them. I thought they were funny. They were so funny. And they would also like tell me things. For instance, I had a lot of, I got the birds and the bees talk, you know, as a kid. And then that was it. I never got like a sex talk. Which I think is very normal for a lot of kids. They don't get the Mormon kids. They don't get the sex talk. Because, you know, if you just don't talk about it, it will never happen.
It won't happen, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people really believe this. Like, I think my parents really believe this. And I don't judge them for it. Like, I understand. Like, that's, you know, I get it now. But I had a lot of questions. Like I would hear things at school or on TV or things like that. And I would go ask my mom, like, what does this mean? And her reaction was, where did you learn that? Like would get very upset. And I would
asking about what types of things?
I learned the word humping. I had no idea what that meant, but I learned that you do it in sex. I didn't even know how you had sex. I didn't even know, this might be like TMI, but like I didn't even know I had like a hole in my vagina. I thought I only had like a pee hole. I didn't know I had an other area. Sorry if it makes you uncomfortable, everyone.
No, let's be honest.
So I didn't know
here.
how like sex worked. I didn't know how that. I knew it was naughty, get naked and it creates babies, but I didn't know how it created babies. Like, because I hadn't been like told about it since I was a kid, and I forgot about like every little detail I was told as a kid. And when I remember just being like a teenager and trying out a tampon for the first time, my sister was helping me out with it from the other, like I was in the bathroom and she was waiting outside, and I was trying to stick it up my pee hole. I didn't know I had another hole, and I was 15 at this time, 14, 15. And so I never figured it out until later.
So your mom didn't like say, here's how to use a tampon?
No, she didn't teach me. I think she, she didn't teach me. We just used pads. I think she thought I shouldn't since I was still a virgin, which I understand where, like, I know that might sound crazy or weird for other people, but it makes sense now. Like, it makes sense. Like, looking back, I'm like, I totally get it. Like, she was doing the best she could. She didn't know what to do.
Of course.
She didn't know what to do. And, so so I remember just like learning things and asking her questions, and she would never answer me. She would just get mad that I learned that or why I was asking it. And then I think like she just needed to know where I found out, and I would never tell her. Like I wasn't going to. And I lied a lot to my parents. I lied a lot. And
let's talk about that, because I've had to deal with that as a parent. Like, I'm still very Mormon. I'm still very patriarchal. I don't like to think of myself that way, but I try not to be that way. But I'm still very Mormon, and so even after we stopped believing in the church, we would be very controlling or rules oriented with our kids. I was always policing one of my child's sexuality, and I'm not saying this in a proud way, but what you do is you teach your kids to lie, because if you're always getting angry, if you're always trying to control them, if there's this punishment thing that's always there, then kids learn to lie because they don't feel safe, and because they don't want to be controlled. They want to figure things out for themselves. And so in some ways, I've learned as a parent that I taught my kids to lie.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, not intentionally. Like you're not.
Of course.
You're telling them, well, lying is bad. You're taught that. Like, especially in the, in the church they go over, you should never lie. Like, any religion, they teach you not to lie. But you become so scared and frightened of what's going to happen. People's reactions, like the way that they sometimes may ask questions like, you want to try coffee? Is like, never mind. No, I don't. I'm not going to tell you. And I think we, specifically talking to Mormon parents, I think I understand, like, they may not know what they are doing when they shut their kid down for having a question, make them feel bad for having a question. And I know that they're not trying to make them feel bad. They're not. They're just trying to, that's their way of helping them, like, realize that that's a bad thing that they're wanting to do or asking about or wanting to try. And it just comes across as, like, punishment and shame. And so, therefore, like, I didn't go to my parents for a lot of questions. I didn't go to a lot of my church leaders for any questions. I went to kids that weren't Mormon that would tell me the answers. They would tell me the truth. Sometimes it wasn't always the best way I should have found out or how I found out, but they didn't judge me or laugh at me. They made fun of me for not knowing what that was. Like, how do you not know what that is?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I live under a rock. That's why. So I think, yeah, so I just wouldn't go to people that would make me feel bad about it. Like, and I also developed a lot of trust issues with that because I didn't know how to trust over time, which I'll get into more details later. But whenever I was honest or told the truth, or was honest with how I was feeling, I'd get punished a lot with not just my parents, but like just people in general I'd get punished. And it didn't make sense. Why would I talk about anything then? Why would I tell anyone anything?
Right.
And I really hope that any advice I can give on parents that are Mormon, that have kids that have questions, just listen to them. Don't make them feel ashamed. Like, I think it's so normal to have kids are curious. They're learning things at school. They're learning things naturally. Like, you know, they have hormones or they see things on the street. And when they ask a question, I really hope that you listen to them and you don't shame them. You don't get defensive and have that negative energy. Like, just listen to them. It doesn't mean that they're going to do it, whatever it is that they're asking. Like, if they say, I want to try coffee, it doesn't mean that they're going to try coffee.
Or they might.
They might. Yeah. Also, it's okay. They're not. I would hope you make them feel like if they do try coffee, I would hope that you maybe do it with it or like be there with them, you know, and like just see what they think and have it be like a open, healthy situation, using just coffee as an example.
Another example is just a kid that might look at porn or a kid that might masturbate. Like how a parent responds to that can also be formative, right?
Oh, yeah. A big secret my parents didn't know about is I started watching porn at a very young age.
How? Just
the internet.
Yeah.
I think my grandpa used to watch like old Western, the Western Channel, and it would randomly have like, you know, like girls that were showing their boobs. And I was like just curious, like I want, like, I know this is a bad thing, but that I'm looking at it and I don't know why. And then I just became more curious about it, but I didn't go to anyone to ask questions or talk about it because that was like, when would that ever go right, ever? Like, if I came up to someone who's like, I want to know about the body and how people have sex or the body parts and stuff like that. So I would just do it on my own, and I would Google just certain, you know, like I would Google things because I wanted to know what it looks like when I get older, and then eventually over time, I started watching, I found porn videos and I would watch them. I was a little bit older, like in high school, young, like middle school, high school age. And I would become aroused by it. And I hated myself for it. I hated myself. I was such a bad person. I knew God was watching. I knew the Holy Ghost left me in this moment. And I would feel disgusting. I would feel lonely. And I would try so hard to I wouldn't even I just go without watching porn. I would just masturbate, you know, and things like that. And just the feeling of something is wrong with me. I'd pray. I promised to God, I would never do it again. Please, please help me. I will never do this again. And 2 weeks later I do it again and feel just so what am I doing wrong? How come I'm doing what's wrong with me? Why am I craving this? Why can't I control myself? Why does it feel good? You know, why do I feel horrible, sick to my stomach about this? I was not proud of myself at all. It was really hard.
Whew. Is that bringing up emotions for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I know, I didn't know it was so normal or natural. I didn't know this was a natural thing to, you know, masturbation was a natural thing. I thought it was just this awful thing, and I thought something was wrong with me because I couldn't control it. Because you hear all these church teachers talking about how to stay strong, and you need to stay strong, and how other kids are staying strong, and using examples of people that stayed strong, and then using other examples of people who didn't stay strong and what happened to them, and how their life became horrible at this point. But once they started becoming more strong and going back to church, and their life became amazing again, and they overcame whatever it is that they were struggling with. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen to me.
For For a parent that feels like bad things are going to happen to my kid if they masturbate and look at porn, or for anyone just that believes that it's harmful or dangerous, for a teenage kid to be looking at that stuff or doing that stuff, what would you say? Like someone could say, well, why couldn't you stop? Why wasn't that bad? Shouldn't you have stopped? Or do you see that differently now in terms of what is or isn't healthy for a developing teenage boy or girl?
I think so. A lot of my life, I felt very alone. I did struggle with friends. I did struggle being close to my siblings and my parents, or like having that closeness of being comfortable talking to them about anything. So I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know how to, I just didn't tell anybody. And I just, so being so young, I just didn't know what to do and just would do it and pray and repent right after. And
was it a way to self-soothe? Was it a way to feel better? Was it just a way to a source of joy in your life? Like what was it? It
seemed, well, I mean, it seemed nice, but it also was just so unhealthy how hard I was on myself and how much I hated myself. Like I kind of wanted to die because I was struggling with this curse that I didn't know was a normal thing that like basically every human goes through mostly, you know, like it's what we're designed for, you know. And so now looking back, like I feel so bad for that little girl.
What would you tell her?
It's okay. You're not evil. God's not mad at you. You're fine. This is normal. I hope that any kid going through this, like I really hope that we can understand how we might make our kids feel. And we don't even know it because they're probably not telling you. And hopefully me saying they're not telling you isn't a way to go run to them and get something out of them in a bad way. Like just understand that like they're normal kids. They're humans. They're children of God. You know, however you want to look at it. That it's like, don't make them feel so bad about it. Like so evil. I didn't think I was going to be able to be sealed with my family. I didn't think that God saw anything good I was doing or thought he was only seeing all the bad, and he was so disappointed in me. And I was already struggling with anxiety and depression, so it made it so much worse. So I don't, yeah. I don't know how, like, I don't have the answers of how you talk to your kid about it, like the healthy way. Like, I don't know that. I just know that, like, my stepkids or my nieces, if they ever have any questions, I will talk to them very calm. I will make them feel normal, like, whatever the question is, not even just about, like, sex, like, whatever it is. I will never shame them for having any questions. I will never put them down for telling me something they did. Anything. I will always be there for them. I will always listen to them. I always remind them after they're done talking to me, like all the good things that they do, like, and then that's it. Like never bring up anything bad they're doing. But if they want help with this specific thing, I will try to do my best to just be there for them and help them, but also remind them that it's okay. Every person goes through this or something similar to this. And like, we're going to do it. We're going to have fun. We're going to be happy. We're going to stay positive. And you're a good person. And then that's it. Like, that's all. I'm not going to ever make them feel bad about anything.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable about such a sensitive topic. It's beautiful and it's powerful, and I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Thanks.
It's almost like, it seems like it's heresy in even 2020 to say that maybe masturbation isn't harmful. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's healthy.
It is so healthy.
Maybe it's totally okay, right?
Oh my gosh, where I am now, like it's a very healthy thing. It's, I think, like, well, sex in general, like just, I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, but it's very healthy. Like you're doing what your body is designed to do. You're There's a lot of things. Like, now I embrace who I am. Like, I embrace that I have premarital sex with my boyfriend. I do still masturbate, and I have no shame in my game. Like, I don't care. Like, it makes me, that's not the thing that I think, like, I'm hard on myself for. That's never the thing. Also, like, just other people that I come across who like are sluts or whores, you know, like, which is what I was called as a teenager a lot. When I lost my virginity, I support them. I high five them. I make them not feel bad about themselves. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Everyone does it, you know, like, oh, like, I was a whore and a slut, you know, like, it's totally fine. Like, I just embrace it, and I am proud of it. Like, I don't see that being a thing that defines my character or what makes me good or bad. And I really, like, I'm finally to that point where I really don't care what people think of me or how they look at me. Like, I'm finally to that place where I'm so confident and comfortable, and I know who I am, and I'm very humble, and that it doesn't affect me at all. It has affected me throughout the years, you know, even.
And we'll come back to the ways that you've learned and grown, but let's stick back with that girl who's feeling awful and who's struggling. So talk about how that inability to stop masturbating or looking at porn, the shame and the judgments that were heaped upon you, how does that affect your development as you start to become 16, 17 years old? What happens?
Well, I got older and I started developing, and my hormones, took a toll.
What do you mean?
I started getting extra curious, wanting to explore that more, but knowing it's bad. But I finally learned about sex, you know, what it is, how it happens, this amazing thing that it's going to be when you get married in the temple, of course, for the first time. Like, you're going to have sex with your husband for the first time. But I just was like, I couldn't wait for it to happen. Like I dreamt about it. It was going to I don't know, I was just really excited for when it happens. Couldn't wait to feel that and experience that with my husband, my companion.
So you started to be really curious about sex.
Yeah. And
to have a sex drive, basically.
Yeah, I did have a sex drive. I just became curious. I really just wanted to know what it was like. I asked a lot of girls who did lose their virginity, you know, in high school, or like friends that I have that were older who were having sex. Like, I would ask them so many questions because I was just so curious, and they would tell me, and I thought it was awesome. They talked to me. You know, I didn't judge them. I was like, and then eventually, like, I developed, and I would get more attention from guys.
You mean your body developed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think my looks, like, I started becoming, I don't know, like, I just got, like, guys started to like me, notice me, and which was like, what? This is weird. And so I liked the attention. I liked that attention of being wanted or being checked out, or, you know, and I eventually had a boyfriend, or I had a few different boyfriends, but I ended up having a boyfriend who I had my first sexual, like, experience with, like, before sex. Like, we started touching each other, you know, and we wanted to have sex. We had to plan to have sex. I was going to lose my virginity, and I was really excited, but so nervous because I knew that I'd have to repent after this. All the stuff that's going to happen, but it's going to be okay, because, like, I remember being in high school in Kanab High, I was on the dance team, the Larriettes, and there was one girl, she was a senior, and she was so open about her sexuality and how she has sex, and she's repented, and she talks to her bishop all the time. It's this awesome thing. Like, she does, you know, he listens to her, and she's good. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll just do what she did. You know, I'll just try it out, and then I'm going to go repent, and it's going to be fine. Also, just embarrassing story of mine, just to tell you how naive and how innocent I was. I was 15, and we were in dance team. We were about to perform at a basketball game, and we were all in the bathroom getting ready, and I had my period, and I didn't have a pad on me. And I asked, does anyone have a pad, to the girls? And they're like, no, but I have a tampon, and here, you can have it. And I'm like, I'm still a virgin. I can't use that. And they all like looked at me like, what? But these were the girls that I knew had lost their virginity. That's why I said that.
So in your mind, explain that.
So I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I was just I was just telling them I'm still a virgin, so I can't use it.
So in your mind, you couldn't use a tampon if
you were a virgin.
If you were a virgin.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
So you only used pads up until then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I have no idea how. But these poor, I'm so sorry to the girls that I offended. I wasn't being mean. I was just being innocent and just telling them,
So they're offering you a tampon and you're saying, I can't, I'm still a virgin.
Yeah. I realize. Okay.
That's awesome. No, but I think that's common. I think that's probably more common than we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, those girls, they extra hated me. They already hated me, and then they extra were like.
Okay. So you were planning on some sort of sexual experience with a boyfriend?
Mm-hmm. Let me get my chapstick. I have a little bit of cotton mouth. Sorry. I'm just going to get some water.
No problem. Really quick, I'll just read some of the comments. Noel writes, thank you so much, Clarissa, for being so honest. I'm older than you, but had the same issues growing up. Sad that we all had to go through this, but also comforted to know that I wasn't the only one. Thank you, Noel. Amy writes, the shame around all of it, very burdening and heart-wrenching. Thank you for sharing your story. And of course, our dear friend, Kimberly Anderson, writes, so much support and love to Clarissa in this moment of extreme vulnerability. Thank you for your willingness to be so open. Thank you. So lots of people sending you love for being willing to talk about hard things.
Thanks. That's really nice to hear. That makes me feel so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what was the question?
So you were going to have your first sexual experience. You were planning.
Yeah. So we were planning this whole, how it was going to happen, like how we were going to have sex. I ended up breaking up with him because I got so nervous. And then he figured it out why I broke up with him. And got back together. And then, long story short, we planned it out and it was going to happen. And I met up with him at this place that we were going to do it. And I was so nervous and I was so excited. Also feeling guilty. Holy cow, was I feeling guilty? But I really wanted to do this. I wanted to just try it out, see how it goes. I didn't tell anybody I was going to do this. I think I had a friend that lived in Salt Lake that may have told her. So we did it.
You had sex?
Yeah. Did not go how I thought it was going to go.
What do you mean?
No one told me it was going to hurt. Like just little details like that. How it happens. Yeah, I didn't know preparation for this. We did use a condom. He chose to do that.
Was it his first time?
He said yeah, but
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think so, but
Okay.
he said yes. I didn't know. It was just I was embarrassed. I didn't know, it was uncomfortable to be naked with another person that was also naked. Then right after I left, he got a phone call from his mom, and we thought that we were going to get caught, or we knew. But he was called home because I guess his grandpa died recently or something like that. And then, so I drove to the grocery store because I wanted to pick up something. And he called me it was maybe an hour after it happened. And he called to break up with me. Oh man, I'm laughing because and he tried to make it an excuse that his grandpa died. And he just needs time to himself, and he's really sorry for doing this right now, especially after what we just did. And I was so understanding, and I was like, oh, yeah, I get it. It's totally fine. But but I didn't. I was like heartbroken. First of all, I think to any girl, religious or not religious, losing your virginity is a very sacred, big moment for you. It's a big deal. And also being Mormon, and I just committed like the biggest sin next to murder.
And why do you think he was breaking up with you? And then how did that feel? How did you interpret it?
I don't know. You
did this thing that God thought was bad.
Yeah, he wasn't Mormon. He wasn't like, I just thought he just, like, I think he just got what he wanted. He didn't really want to date me. Which, whatever, I'm not like upset about it now, but at the time it really hurt me because I didn't have any friends to tell about this story.
And it sounds like it wasn't super enjoyable. Like it wasn't,
No.
or it wasn't fun like you thought it would be.
No, I was embarrassed. Like afterwards, I wasn't doing the things right. I could just tell he wasn't impressed. Wasn't this beautiful moment where we're both connecting or anything. It was just. Yeah. So just losing my virginity. Also, God watched me. Also, Holy Ghost probably left me at this point, and I'm never going to tell my parents. They can never find out about this. Even though I use a condom, what if I'm pregnant? So I just kind of pushed away my feelings. I just kept going forward. I didn't really think about it. I just went on, moved on.